Hello everybody, welcome back. It's Chris at Development Division, and last time you checked in with me, I was working on these door latches, rebuilding them. When I first got the Firebird, if you remember, the door skin was actually separating from the actual door core itself. I separated it and re-glued it back together, and now all that's left is putting it on the car. So I'm going to start by removing these latches. I initially installed them because I thought you would do the door side first. I was unfortunately wrong. Okay, nice. Okay. Now that we have our latches here, let's go over to the Firebird and attach the body side. We have 4 13mm bolts that bolt in right here on the A-pillar. Now, if you're removing this for the first time, you want to get something like I'm a big fan of these paint markers here. You can get them from Hobby Lobby. I got this from Daiso. But you're just gonna mark where everything is, because you're gonna see very quickly that aligning a door is not as fun, or it's actually the amount of fun you'd expect it to be. So for now, we're just gonna finger tighten these. There's only one way to put these in. The holes will only line up one way. So if you are doing the hinge replacement, just remember the orientation of how everything goes. I can see the residual dust of where it was before, so I'm gonna kind of eyeball it there. We're just gonna tighten up these bolts just to kind of hold it in place. Set this down. Now, if you try to attach your door like this, these latches are in the closed position, and you want to kind of open them up a little bit and get this is an adjustable crescent wrench. Just get in here and turn it. There's 2 settings of adjustment. Let's go ahead and just try the far out. See where that takes us. This is the wiring that goes into the door. I'm just gonna throw that inside the cab for now. You have these studs that come out of your door. Line them up with the holes in the latch, and Cal is probably gonna have to hand me a nut or 2. This is the worst.
This seems really hard.
Eternal struggle. What happens if I just drop the door? It's like, alright guys, that's the end of the video. Alright guys, now we're going to the junkyard. But instead of finding a door, we're actually just parking this there. Dude, go fucking, okay. Rest it on the jack. Right? I won't be able to hold it and at the same time. So if we can rest it on this, we can keep it level. Just like, yeah, you can come from the side. We're just looking up this corner. Random. And hold that. Swing your end out. Or out. Most of what your fight is going to be is the studs are not necessarily held in place on the door side. So as you push in, if you're not careful, the studs will just recede into the door. It's time to tighten them up. We're going to need a 15mm combination wrench. In there, that is one of the nuts. There's another one behind there and on the bottom as well. There's 2 back there. Now we just have to tighten it up with our 15mm and close the door and then check the alignment. This is the time, if you are fancy enough, you have a ratcheting double-ended wrench. This will come in super handy. It'll save you some time. I'm going old school. And this was gonna take a long time. All right, we're tightened up. All right, let's move on. Let's put the door handle on and let's wire up the door electronics. So here is our wiring harness from the frame. Yours might look a little bit different. This model has no power windows. So we're gonna grab this end of the connector and I'm gonna feed this in. Once you have your wires through, you have to set this rubber gasket into place. So we're just gonna push that in around the edges. There you go. Give that, kind of work that around a little bit just to make sure that that sits perfectly. Now, I have to add some male connectors onto here. That will connect me up to my speaker. Instead of going with my normal male and female spade connector, I'm gonna go with one of these. I got this off Amazon. There's a pack of them. Just a simple, waterproof connector. This is going to be a little bit more OEM than those spades, and it's going to be waterproof as well as it's going to be a lot easier to take off because it just works just like an OEM harness. I'll strip these back. If you guys don't already have a pair of automatic strippers, you want to get these, especially if you're doing a lot of wiring or you're interested in doing some wiring on your own vehicle. These are going to save you a lot of time. Once we strip those are ready, and now we have our heat shrink here. This is, of course, if you're unfamiliar, this is going to go over our exposed copper wire just to continue to seal that through. And you can get some marine, I think it's called marine heat shrink from Harbor Freight. That actually has hot glue on the inside, and that will waterproof it that way. But I've been using just the standard issue heat shrink for years, and I haven't had any problems. I'm just going to place these over our wires here. These have to be cut a little short, and we'll just put these on this end of the connector here. Now these are ready to be spliced into our harness. So these are my old spade connectors. I'm just going to go ahead and cut them off. Strip these wires back. Make sure you have your heat shrink on the wires before you twist them together. Connect my other side to these wires. These actually come from the speaker here. I'm going to have to test it because I don't know which wire is which, so I'm going to quickly just temporarily twist these wires together like we did before. Now I'm going to power on the car, turn on the radio, and see if it works. If it doesn't work, then I'm just going to need to switch out the wires, switch one of the wires.
You can't play that on YouTube.
But we're gonna use this iron here. The tip gets really hot. We're gonna hold this on our wire here to the copper area. My soldering iron isn't tinned very well. This is a Chicago Electric model from Harbor Freight. A couple of dollars. It's worked reliably. I had another one of these for a long time. It lasted me 3 or 4 years. So as the wire starts to get hot, feed in that solder right on top of that wire, and I think that's what is that called? The rosin will get melted and it'll suck into the copper wire.
Capillary.
Capillary. Is it capillary action?
Capillary action.
Yeah. So that's that. If you get too hot on your wires, your rubber sheathing protectant is going to start bubbling up and melting, because you're pretty much essentially heating up the whole wire. It's going to get the whole length of the wire eventually will get really hot. So you don't want to do this too long, and honestly, you don't want to really breathe this stuff in. Save yourself. It might be too late for me, but it's not late for you. Don't breathe this stuff in. Less is more when it comes to solder. And now that we've had that connected, you do want to kind of give it just a little bit of a pull, tug test, just to make sure it won't come loose. Then we will move our heat shrink over. Also, it should be said that this heat shrink is obviously heat activated. So with your soldering iron, if you're not careful or if you're not paying attention, you will shrink your heat shrink trying to solder your wires. And then you're going to have to undo it because you balked yourself. So I think I balked myself here. I don't think I put big enough. Nice. There we go. Never mind. Put that over. I just give it a little feel to see where that joint is. These things slide around quite a bit, and you kind of want it centered up. It's going to be the nicest solution for you. Heat gun. You can use a lighter if that's what you have. I just use the heat gun. A little bit more consistent, easier to use. Keep it moving. You can ruin your heat shrink by heating it up too much. So you always want to make sure that you're picking a size that's pretty close to your wires. So now this is all wired up. I'm just going to shove this garbage back into the car. Alright. So off camera, I did install our mirror here, finished up the door controls. And there we go. So since that's done, I was actually going to try to repair the door cards in this episode as well, but I need a special tool and some epoxy of some sort to figure this out. Both sides are cracked, so this will just be a project for next time. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time. What are you guys doing in there? You guys are inside of a door.